Hello everybody, Dr. Dan here. For this discussion, we are going to address how to focus on a specific topic. This will apply to discussions, papers, major papers, and even for doctoral students choosing a dissertation topic. What we'll do first is we'll go ahead and describe why this is important. And in this particular example, I'm going to focus on the importance of focus in terms of the degree that you're getting. There are other ways, of course, we can look at this, but let's just look at this in terms of a degree. So first off, when you obtain, let's say, a Bachelor of Science degree, you're perhaps focused more on general knowledge. So you're looking at many different fields, many different topics. It might be business, psychology, math, science, so on. You're looking at these different degrees and you get different fields, and you get general knowledge. When you move on to a master's degree, now you're focusing on one particular field and perhaps even application of what you're learning within that field. Then when you transition to a PhD program, now we're looking at that particular field in even greater depth. So now we're looking at not only theory, but also, again, methods of how to apply, and we are focusing on a particular specialization. So for example, if you're in the field of psychology, perhaps now we're looking at my area of interest and specialization, which is industrial organizational psychology. So we've even narrowed the field down even more. And then finally, we also conduct research. And what that means is significantly looking at research that has been conducted on this specific topic. So as you can see, we've narrowed down our focus of various concepts and things by looking at the particular degree that we're obtaining. So how does this apply? Well, when creating a topic, like in this example here, we want to, again, focus, and particularly focus based on the degree that we're in. So that's kind of, I thought, a useful way of looking at it, because the topic we have in front of us here, stress and depression's impact on performance, perhaps that's more appropriate for a Bachelor of Science degree, because now we're looking at just in general, perhaps what our textbook might say, let's say, on the topic of stress and depression's impact on performance. So we're looking at it in general. Then as we transition to a master's program, so perhaps we're looking at this in greater depth, and particularly how it focuses on the degree that, at the field that we're in, and perhaps how we want to apply this information. But as we transition again into a PhD program, now we want to focus even more. So in this particular case, now we are learning how to take the various concepts or variables within that initial, let me go back to it, that initial topic, stress and depression's impact on performance. We'll break that down. So we have stress, we have depression, we have performance. And as we continue on in graduate school, we can identify that these are very broad topics. So we want to go ahead and break these down even further. In this particular example, we are actually going to, first off, eliminate one of these. So we are not going to look at depression for this example because, again, stress and depression are two very different things. Yes, perhaps stress can lead to depression, but again, that's very broad. We can write a book on that. So we are going to just, first off, eliminate depression and focus on stress and performance. Now, as we focus on stress and performance, let's go ahead and I have stress here in the middle of this, and we're going to use this as an example because performance is going to come out of this, as you will see here in a moment. But first off, stress. So we start asking ourselves questions like who, where, what, and why. And to give you an example, I think that's the best way that you can understand this, is as we look at stress, first we look at who. And in this particular example, again, I'm partial to examining the workplace because of my field. So what I'm doing here is I look at employees. So that's the who, employees. Then in terms of where, well, we're going to look at stress in the workplace. When we look at what, so I use the example of bullying. So the what perhaps in this example is maybe what causes or contributes to stress. So we're going to look at bullying. And then finally, why? Because we want to examine how this impacts performance. That's where performance comes in, as I mentioned earlier. So as you can see, we've narrowed down from the topic, in this particular case, of of, let's just back up here again, of stress and performance. We've narrowed it down a bit more to where now we're looking at particularly employees and bullying in the workplace. So you see we're narrowing it down even further. And now we do that again. We continue to look at the who, where, what, and why, and focus even more. So now what we're going to look at is employees include those employees in higher education, and more specifically faculty, because higher education, again, that could include administrators, that could include a lot of different folks. So we're going to look at higher education faculty. That's very specific. The workplace, in this case, we're going to focus even more. We're going to say university's graduate school. There again, that's very specific. Workplace could be very broad, so we're going to look at a particular example of a university's graduate school. And then bullying, that also can vary. It could be bullying from leadership, could be bullying from perhaps even students, bullying faculty, which I've seen before. And in this particular case, we're going to examine peer bullying. And then finally, what area of performance? Because again, performance can mean a lot of different things. So we are going to focus on job satisfaction. Now, as you can see, based on this process of narrowing a topic, we have gone from something very broad to something very specific. And we could, if we wanted to, continue this approach. So as an example, peer bullying. Maybe there's, as we start reading the research, we find that there's a certain type of peer bullying, or there's something specific going on there. Job satisfaction, that's pretty specific already, but maybe there's a particular area of job satisfaction we could look at based on various measures and assessments that we would use. So we can continue to narrow this down more and more. Now, going back to what we initially discussed, what we have here is, I had mentioned before that a PhD, you specialize, you look at the theory, you apply it, you look at the research, and that's now what we are doing. We are looking very specifically at stress that occurs due to peer bullying by higher education faculty within a graduate school setting, and that impact that stress has on job satisfaction. So you can see we've really narrowed our focus, and as a result, we have now a very specific topic that we can not only address, let's say in a discussion or research paper, but potentially even as a research project. I hope this helps, and once again, I just thank you for being here and allowing me to present some of this information. Thanks a lot.